Namaskar. Welcome to the first video of 2024 and the 151st video of Conversations with Rakesh. आपका नया साल शुभदायी हो. May your loved ones and you have health, happiness, joy, prosperity, and also the strength of the tsunami of various other emotions, which are sometimes bad. But remember, good and bad make the world, and we have to deal with both. So, on that note, I'd like to start the first video of 2024 and the 151st video with a very nice question. It was actually a discussion that we had, and I took the permission of that group and summarized it. And that question is connected to New Year resolutions. हम लोग सब बनाते हैं पर शायद कर नहीं पाते हैं, and that causes a lot of emotions and problems that I'd like to talk about. So I'll tell you that question, and then I'll tell you some points that I apply to my own resolutions and try and keep at it. So here's the question. Rakesh sir, I really want to communicate with confidence and move ahead in my career. I make all kinds of plans and to-do lists and New Year resolutions, but never do anything about it, and they just end up as pieces of paper. I feel very low that I'm wasting my time. What do I do? How do I begin moving forward to be a good communicator? Um, when I was younger, जब school में था, when an academic year would stop, we had summer vacations. And उस समय, I think this was somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s, we were made to write some essays. And one of the essay was, how do I plan to spend my summer vacations? And in those days there were books of essays, and हम लोग उसको पढ़ के फिर we used to write it in our own terms, and this was the holiday homework. Submit करना पड़ता था. I still remember that one essay, it kind of has imprinted in my life. It was such a beautiful essay. हिंदी में था कि मैं कुछ समय एक्सरसाइज पे बिताऊंगा ताकि हेल्थ अच्छी हो जाए, कुछ समय पढ़ाई करूंगा, कुछ समय जो सिटी में रहता हूँ वहाँ के म्यूज़ियम्स, मंदिर, जो पॉइंट्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट हैं सब देखूंगा, अपने छोटे भाई बहनों और फ्रेंड्स के साथ खेलूंगा, अपनी माँ के हाथ का बढ़िया सा आलू पराठा खाऊंगा. सो आई काइंड ऑफ लाइक्ड हाउ वी प्लान टू हैव अ बैलेंस्ड लाइफ. एंड आई वुड राइट माई ओन रेजोल्यूशंस कि मैं भी समर वेकेशन ऐसे मनाऊंगा. But honestly, when you make that plan, the next day I would wake up and all kinds of things would happen. And just like you, I would be overwhelmed कि कहाँ से शुरू करूँ? There's so much to do. And I would just keep making plans कि अच्छा कल ये करूँगा. And finally I would just postpone it, and summer vacations would go and one more year would be facing me. And then I would say अच्छा ठीक है अगले साल करूँगा. ये होता है. This is normal. Don't beat yourself about it. Now let's understand what you're going through. Because if you try and understand what you're going through, you'll be able to deal with it a lot better. And I think from the question you have given me, there are three serious issues that you need to be aware of in yourself. And there are many like you and me. I'm one of the same kind of feelings that I plan, I make lists, bada maza aata hai because we are in control of making that list. But then after that, we are not in control and we don't know how to deal with it. And that's where things break down. So let's see how we can understand what you're going through. And I've written 3 points. That the first feeling that I could sense in your question is a feeling of being overwhelmed. And that comes from, could be anxiety, could be, fear, could be just don't know what to do, could be this sense of fatigue कि दिमाग बिल्कुल त्रस्त हो जाता है. It's tired, and social media is adding to that. And could be all of these issues. So your mind is giving you a signal that it is going through a lot. It is overwhelmed. Don't take it lightly. And this overwhelmed mind does create this problem कि हम लोग उस माइंड में घूमते रहते हैं. We are just lost in it. And it's a serious warning to you that you have to do something about it, and you have to be aware of it, that you are going through probably a bundle of emotions. They are not good emotions. They are tiring you. they are causing all kinds of other things which could lead to you getting afraid, fatigued, anxious, stressed, sad, and many more things that come around with. And after that, you said that you're feeling regretful कि अरे यार time waste कर रहा हूँ. This is a serious problem. एक ये चक्रव्यूह में घुस गए हो आप. So you need to be aware of it. That your mind is giving you a warning like a red signal कि boss, do something about it. And you need to be aware of your emotions. Don't bury them. I mean, understand your emotions and bring it out, and we'll work on that. But remember that you could be going through a overwhelming set of emotions which are creating that chakravyu, and it is becoming a whirlpool which is dragging you down with it. So be aware of it. The second, there is this concept of self-doubt. Self-doubt is it could come from various issues, past rejections, which cause us to be more critical about ourselves. Self-criticism then leads to, self-flagellation कि हम लोग अपने आप को ही ब्लेम करते हैं कि अरे यार ये करता, वो करता, शायद वक्त मेरे हाथ में नहीं था, I made a mistake, I should have done it. So all of this increases self-doubt कि मैं कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा. You start doubting yourself, and it has a massive toll on your self-confidence, and it impacts your self-esteem. So be aware of it, that if you're going through this phase where you are really planning a lot and not doing anything about it, the second condition in your brain could be that your brain could be going through a serious amount of self-doubt on yourself, which is increasing, and it is decreasing your self-confidence and hammering your self-esteem. These are classic conditions of low self-esteem. And in low self-esteem, the easiest thing to do, postponement, कि कल करेंगे, because you want to escape, you want to protect yourself. And the easiest thing we can do is let go. कि अच्छा आज, today the sun is not right, today the pen is not right. We'll find reasons not to do anything. It's actually a side effect of high self-doubt, low self-esteem, a feeling that I'm not good enough. It could come from comparing to others, and that's where social media is very harmful. कि आप जब वो Instagram, LinkedIn पढ़ रहे हो, उसमें stories of here is a person who made billion, here is a person who is in some lovely island and enjoying life, hashtag I love my life. बहुत दुख होता है लोगों को, and I know how social media is creating havoc on our lives. एक बहुत ही स्ट्रेंज मूवी मैंने लास्ट वीक ही देखी, थ्री फ्रेंड्स हु हैव अ लाइफ इन अ सिटी, आई थिंक कहाँ खो गए हम इज़ द नेम ऑफ द मूवी, एंड इट्स अबाउट हाउ सेल फोन एंड सोशल मीडिया creates a havoc on our lives, and it has sucked us. So be aware of it. And if you are going through high self-doubt, you are probably also comparing. You could be seeking external validations, and these things can be dangerous because your self-esteem is hammered. And in self-esteem low, you try and just postpone things कि कल करूँगा, कल एक अच्छा दिन आएगा, and that कल never comes. It's a never-ending story. So just be aware that your self-doubt is very high, self-confidence is very low. And the last one, which I think is something that somebody taught me, कि हम लोग जब classic case of New Year resolution is a gym, कि हम लोग health पे इन्वेस्ट करेंगे और वेट रिड्यूस करेंगे, और जिम की मेंबरशिप क्या जाती है न्यू ईयर पे. एंड विद इन 2 years there was some study somebody did that the number of memberships between 15th December and 30th December is like some millions, and then by 3rd week of January those people stop coming to the gym. Not all of them, majority of them. ये होता है. Now क्यों होता है? The answer is in the third point, that many of our expectations are very lofty. कि मतलब जिम जाऊंगा और 6 पैक ही लेके आऊंगा, मतलब it is either 100% achievement or 0, and this is wrong. Lofty plans and lofty expectations, I think that causes a problem. कि हम लोग जिम जाते हैं, एक दिन में 6 पैक तो बनने वाला नहीं है, and then we feel करे यार नहीं हो रहा है मेरे से, and again the self doubt kicks in. So what happens is we sometimes don't even go to the gym because we feel कि अरे क्या फ़ायदा, कुछ हो तो रहा नहीं है. I think that creates a third problem, that your lists and plans are lofty. It could be because you are comparing yourself with others कि मतलब जॉब लूँगा तो इधर ही लूँगा, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप करूँगा तो यूनिकॉर्न ही बनूंगा, अगर क्लास में पढ़ाई करूँगा तो फर्स्ट ही आऊँगा. एंड देन ऑन 1st Jan, 2nd Jan, 3rd Jan व्हेन वी स्टार्ट, इतना जल्दी नहीं होता है, एंड देन वी स्टॉप. सो लॉफ्टी प्लान्स एंड इट रिजल्ट्स इन नो एक्शन. सो बी अवेयर ऑफ इट that maybe your lists are unreasonable, and your goals are very harsh, and they are in many ways impossible, and you're not understanding that you are doing this just because you're harsh on yourself, and you don't have to prove anything to anyone, but these things happen. So let me summarize these 3 problems that cause us to drop resolutions, which is a problem you are facing कि आप communicate करना चाहते हो पर कहाँ से शुरू करूँ. And the answers are: you're overwhelmed, you have high self-doubt, and you have lofty plans which probably are too harsh on yourself. Now, having said that, let's look at what I do to solve this problem. So I've written some points in my notes. There was this very good book called Papillon. बहुत पहले पढ़ी थी मैंने. And in that, the character is made to go into a solitary confinement. And he knows, Papillon knows कि अगर मैं solitary confinement में गया मैं पागल हो जाऊंगा. So how does he survive? Is that he puts a discipline on himself. कि मैं मतलब I will not sit and mope and cry. I will walk. छोटा सा एक cell था, and he walks. Discipline, and he counts, and he measures himself. I've heard the same thing in sports people. I was listening to a podcast, I think it was The Seen and the Unseen of conversation between Amit Verma and Harsha Bogle, where Harsha Bogle talks about the discipline of Virat Kohli. And he says that leaving other issues aside, there is one characteristic of Virat Kohli which is a gold standard, which is his unbelievable discipline. And he's working out in the gym, he's working harder than anyone else. His diet plan is absolutely gold standard, because he says ki, if I have to be ahead in the game, I have to work harder. And subah jaldi उठ के gym जाना is discipline. I mean, you don't have to do it. You're so rich and successful. You can just enjoy life. But Virat Kohli has this old time discipline from the game, and Harsha Bogle connects it to great players all the way till 1970s. And he says that great players are not God gifts, they just have discipline. And this is one thing I request you to focus on, that I think we need to focus on the word discipline now rather than outcome. So the first thing you may want to start doing is that if you are lacking a plan and an action, what you need to focus on is discipline. That make your plans less lofty, छोटे छोटे steps. कि चलो मैं सुबह उठ के, एंड सुबह 4 बजे नहीं उठना है, अगर आप 8 बजे उठते हो दैट्स ओके. एंड देन मेक एन एफर्ट कि मैं जिम नहीं जाऊंगा पर रूम के अंदर ही आई विल स्ट्रेच. दैट्स अ ग्रेट स्टेप. सो स्टार्ट पुटिंग डिसिप्लिन. सो द बेस्ट वे टू अवॉइड लॉफ्टी प्लान्स and have no action is to make realistic plans and make them happen and measure them. So that is one technique. The second technique, how do you eliminate self-doubt? There's this lovely movie called Luca, cartoon movie hai, and in that there is a character who is very overconfident. And how does he resolve the overconfidence, and how does he make sure of himself? He tells himself Silenzio Bruno. He says that in my brain there is a guy called Bruno, और वो Bruno self-doubt मुझे देता रहता है. तो I have to tell this Bruno, shut up. I think you must have these techniques that your brain will say कि तेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा. But tell that brain, shut up. And call that person Bruno. In our brain there are a lot of people. One of them is Bruno, and his job is to increase self-doubt. So tell Bruno, Silenzio Bruno. मैं अपना काम कर रहा हूँ, बीच में मत आओ. So that is a technique to reduce self-confidence, self-doubt, and increase your self-confidence. And the last is, how do you resolve overwhelming emotions? Please talk to people. All right. Please go and chat. Please share your views. Please find a counselor or a friend who listens to you. Safe environment, confidential, free. Please do that. Now let's come back to your question that you are overwhelmed, and how do you start? I'll give you 3 simple suggestions. Suggestion 1, in your meeting room, wherever you are in a workplace, a college, home, ask a question. Next time when you're sitting with people, force yourself. Simple step, ask a question. It increases your communication and confidence कि हाँ मैं कर सकता हूँ. And you start and you measure yourself कि आज इस मीटिंग में मैंने 3 क्वेश्चन पूछे, आज 5, and push a little bit every day. Realistic goals and make it happen. Number 2, if you can read some nice paper, न्यूज़पेपर में आर्टिकल पढ़ लो, कोई समरी कर लो, and then record yourself and see yourself. Again, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to put a video on YouTube and expect millions of likes. Don't do all that. Do it for yourself. Read, summarize, write, put your own opinion on it and record. That's a path, and if you do it, you'll feel a lot better. And the last is come and join us at School of Meaningful Experiences. The whole reason I started it was to help you begin. Our programs, and I'm not boasting it, you can even go to any other program. Coursera जाओ, Udemy जाओ, कोई भी college में जाओ, किसी में भी जाओ. The pathways are all connected to a larger goal and they all end up at the good place. So go anywhere but begin. And come join us at School of Meaningful Experiences. Every Sunday there's a batch. And come, we will help you reduce the anxiety. We will give you a simple plan to start. And in 6 weeks, we will ensure that you are on the path to become a confident communicator. So on that note, I hope 2024 is good for you, but also be kind on yourself. Also be realistic with yourself. हर दिन successful नहीं होगा. Majority of the time you have to deal with all these emotions that come along. Deal with them and don't run away. And tell Silenzio Bruno in that brain. And come and join our programs every Sunday, 11 o'clock. The batches keep happening. Sign up for our programs and we'll support you. So on that note, I hope in 2024 you communicate with confidence. Stay safe.